And I want to talk next about leading from your strengths. I want to talk about building your strengths profile. It's one thing to be able to talk about it. It's another thing to really identify with what your strengths are. How many of you, when you looked at that list of the competencies that I showed you a minute ago, you started to, in your mind, say, oh, I don't have that one, I have a hole in this one, I'm a little deficient in that one, this glass is only half full. I mean, immediately what we start to do is we start to identify where we're weak, because that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to do that from the beginning. Let's suppose your kid came home with this report card. What's your first reaction? Okay, so now we know a little bit. Now we know a little bit about what you think about your kids. But truthfully, what do you notice first? Do you notice? You notice the C in English, yeah. And most parents, even though you might not say, how come you got a C in English? It'd be nice if we were kids growing up, if our dad or mom said, wow, you got an A in math, you got an A in art, you got an A in science, you got an A in history, you are doing great. But in fact, we know our parents were thinking, even if they didn't say, and your kids are thinking, even if you don't say, how come you got that C in English? Okay, but if you got a report card like this, I mean, it's huge. If your kid brought this home, you'd be really happy that they're doing so well in so many different subjects. And particularly, you might say, wow, you're doing just acing history. Maybe your job in life is to be a history professor, or maybe the area you want to focus your attention on has something to do with history. Or maybe in math, because they got an A in math and science. So maybe their track is more math and science. You know, that's how we hope in developing our kids. That's where we hope we go. But the truth is, we look at this. If this was our report card, I know my daughter, if she brought home something like this, she'd come in the house. She wouldn't come in the house like this. Yeah. She would be really kind of disappointed in herself because she got a C. And it's not because I'm an overachiever, I am. It's not because you guys are all overachievers, I'm sure you are. We're type A, we want to fill all those buckets. We want to make sure all those buckets are as full as they can be. And so when we see something where we're a little bit deficient, we start to want to fill that bucket. We want to take the class that gets our English grade up.